Everyone is sick of Gen Z. People are sick of these individuals. We do the whole Gen Z is aging like milk thing. Gen Z is lazy. Gen Z is just sleeping and farting. Yada, 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 so forth. So Gen Z is a very introverted generation. They're a very introverted group of people. They'll turn around and say, and whose fault is that? Gen Z grew up in relatively comfortable times. Despite the events of 2020, all that really did for them was allow them to stay at home, play video games, sleep, fart, eat, and then do it all again the next day. They've come into the real world and they believe that they all deserve houses and to be called kings and queens when they really have nothing to offer the world other than their complaints. I personally am very sick and tired of Gen Z and even hearing about them, but unfortunately, no matter where you go, there's always some Gen Zer destroying the world, or rather, making it less bright. Now, of course, the boomers, the baby boomers, are very guilty of doing this because most of the problems in the world today exist because of the boomers. But Gen Z, oh boy, they want to leave a legacy of despair because on each and every passing day, they are trying to one up every other generation for being the absolute worst at everything that they touch, everything that they do. I can't really say Gen Z is able to do anything right other than doing everything wrong. One of the interesting things about Gen Z is that they're terrible at love, dating, and relationships because their idea of romance is sliding into someone's DMs. Now, Gen Z is burnt out from, sliding into DMs, so they're going to look for old-fashioned ways of communicating with one another. This is a group of people where if you go into a room and there's a bunch of Gen Zers, they're all on their phone and no one is talking to anyone else. You would think it's a library. This is Gen Z. Like they are such a group of bad little muffins, bad little muffins. A batch that should never have made it out of the oven. If we look at this video right here, it says Gen Z experiencing dating app burnout. They get burnt out from everything very quickly. They get burnt out doing their jobs. Okay, the ones that actually do have jobs. Let's go ahead and jump into the video.
Well, many of our children, the Gen Z generation, are experiencing dating app burnout. So according to a new survey by Forbes, 79% of Gen Z are looking for alternative ways to find love, and in some ways, turning to older and maybe more traditional methods. Jill Van Dor and Taylor Higgins are here with Lunch Dates, a Boston-based matchmaking service. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here. You look beautiful, both of you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. So how would you describe dating app fatigue? What is that?
It is just burnout. It's emotional burnout and disappointment. So I feel like people currently right now are swiping just to swipe and then go out on dates, or they're swiping to swipe and not go on dates. And then they're swiping and they're meeting the wrong people. Either way, it's draining, it's emotionally exhausting, and it's making people feel like, I don't know if my person is actually even out there.
Yeah, I feel you. And why is there dating app fatigue right now?
I think that with dating app fatigue, it's just something that comes with disappointment. Like I was saying, it's just something that is unavoidable when you're not. People have timelines in mind, and when you're just not thinking that you're sticking to that specific timeline, you're really just getting burnt out from the situation.
And of course, you guys run a matchmaking service here in Boston. Specifically for your service, have you seen an uptick in clients maybe from that generation or really anyone?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The thing is, this is exactly what Taylor was saying, is that people get burnt out. People really do want to be in a relationship. But what happens is that because they're getting burnt out, they're missing out on the right people and going and meeting a lot of the wrong people and wasting their time. And it takes a lot of energy to put your heart out there and meet people. So by doing it through a matchmaker, it's a lot easier, a lot more dignified, and we just take all that guesswork out of it for you.
Right. And in terms of like the different methods that you've seen that the folks are now turning to, obviously we have matchmaking. What other methods, maybe the older traditional way that maybe the Gen Zs are going towards now?
They're meeting anywhere through athletic hobbies, through book clubs, music clubs, anything to avoid going to the bar, really. Matchmaking specifically too, anything that adds the human element back into dating, they're all for it.
Yeah. And it's funny, I was talking about this with Gene earlier this morning. He was like, finally, people are wanting to actually talk to each other, in person again,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Why is it so important?
Well, social media, people are on their phones. They don't have that human interaction like they used to have. Also, a lot of people are working remote. They don't have that office culture where they can just go right out after work, or even friends of friends that are fixing them up. So this way they want that human element.
Yes, yes.
Now, what are the misconceptions, would you say, of matchmaking? You know, those stereotypes that we want to debunk here.
Well, I think some of the misconceptions when it comes to it is people are always asking, what kind of people are your clients? My clients are fantastic. They can all date on their own. They're attractive, they're successful, but they just like the fact that somebody else is doing the vetting process for them, and they like the confidentiality. So at the end of the day, they like the fact that we're kind of like their best friend that's fixing them up with.
Yes, yes. We love an added perspective to that. Sometimes that's all you need. It's all that's missing is that added perspective.
Oh, I love that. And then before we go, for anyone who's really watching who might just need some general dating advice, what would you tell them?
My goodness, I would say, where do I begin? No, I would say use dating as a method of personal growth. Don't approach it. We've established this whole vocabulary of words, situationships, ghosting, and it's very negative. And if you approach dating with a negative mindset, it will be just that for you. So definitely go into it thinking, what can I learn from these people, their lifestyles, and all of that, and you'll be golden.
All right, Taylor, Jill, thank you so much for being
My
here.
pleasure.
Catherine, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, guys, that's the video. And as you guys can see on the surface, you might say, oh, wow, so Gen Z is just trying to develop deeper social relations with one another outside of online dating. The reality is, and she said it perfectly, they're just looking for people to do the work for them. Okay? They're too lazy now to even speak to one another. They're not going out. They're not speaking to each other in the same room. They want to find people, these are the ones who can afford it, that will do the work for them, initiate the conversations with someone else, and then, basically say, okay, so I think you're right for you, and now we'll bring you together. Guys, what kind of stupidity is that? Not everyone can afford a matchmaker, nor should everyone be using a matchmaker. A matchmaker, honestly, is for people who are maybe in their I would even want to say 30s, maybe, or 40s and 50s. These matchmakers are basically for people who are, they want to settle down right now and so forth. Gen Z is so screwed up and they're so afraid of basic human contact that they want someone to pre-screen the other person just so they can go on a date. Guys, no. Like, I want you to understand what they're doing here. This is like a one-off thing. Like, they want all of their dates now pre-screened before they step foot out on a date. And they don't want to have to initiate the initial conversation with one another. The sleeping and farting people. The sleeping and farting people. Loud farts. Very loud farts. Very loud wet farts. Gen Z. It's no wonder that everyone is sick of them. It's no wonder why everyone is sick of them. They're annoying. They're extremely annoying people. Very, very annoying people. Very, very nasty people. Godless, bloodless, soulless people. I don't like them. I don't like them at all. I can't stand them. I think they're really, really rotten. Really rotten, bad muffins. Bad muffins. It's a bad batch. Gotta chuck it. Bad batch of muffins. And, the sooner that we wake up and realize it, the better we'll be for it. I'm just personally tired of hearing about them on a daily basis. But everywhere you go, there's some delinquent Gen Z destroying society, causing more problems for everyone. It's like they want us to be stressed. They want us to be pissed. They want to keep bringing more pain and suffering and misery into the world because that's just who they are. That's just who Gen Z is. They're the evil ones. They're the evil ones that were spoken of by legend. That these people existed, and they would come to bring pain and suffering to the world. And some might say, well, you're being a little facetious, angry. Not really. Not really. Because they don't, all they do is complain. They complain about everything. They whine about everything. They piss everyone off. They're coming after Gen X now. Like, who the hell do these people even think that they are? They have terrible manners, really, really bad hygiene, awful hygiene, you know. And it's no wonder that no one even wants to be around them, speak to them, deal with them, give them jobs. Because that's another thing. That's another thing. You know, people don't want to work. Guys, Gen Z are so crooked. Like, you have to be so careful. These people will steal from you. If there's one thing that Gen Z likes to do, it's steal. Gen Z loves to steal. They love, oh my gosh, does Gen Z love a good, do they love to steal things? Do they ever love to steal? And forget about Gen Z, like, you know, actually being responsible. You have these people at Walmart. Gen Z's working at Walmart are their gig jobs, thinking that they're real jobs, and then screaming and hollering because they can't buy a house.
Not stand how the news has been dogging Gen Z and calling them lazy for not wanting to work a 9-to-5 for the rest of their lives. Let me put it in perspective for everybody who's a little confused here, okay? I work 5 days out of the week, 40 hours a week, okay? I do not make enough to live on my own. I would not make enough to pay rent, water, electric, and eat. All by myself. I would not be capable of doing that. 20 years ago when you were getting started, you could live on your own. 20 years ago when you first started, you were able to do everything that I am now struggling to do. Let me add another perspective here. You've been working for 20 years. You have 20 years of working experience behind your belt. You have 20 years of experience in a career that has allowed you to gain raises, to get more money, to profit you in an economy that you created. You can sit here and you can call Gen Z lazy all you want, but I've been working my tail end off just to barely make it by. And respectfully, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. I don't want to work my tail end off, wasting all of my life working just to barely be able to pay my bills. And that is what you created, not Gen Z. We're just here getting started. You've been doing it for the last 20 years. You tell me how it got ruined. We can sit here and we can call Gen Z lazy all you want, but you let the economy turn into what it did. You let it all run to hell. And now it's Gen Z's fault because we don't want to work to fix your mistakes.
All right, so first off, let's just start off right here. Listen, Becky, you're going to miss me with all of that energy. I'm not the one. I'm just letting you know right here and right now, I am not the one. So you need to calm it down right here and right now, okay? I don't know who these little Gen Zers think that they are, acting like, oh, you had a house at 20 years old. No, we did not. A lot of us couldn't even afford to live on our own at 20, depending on where you lived in the U.S. and what cards you were dealt. Many of us were going to college. Some of us were in trade school. Some of us were, you know, in our parents' basement. Again, we were all dealt different cards. Now, Gen Z, you know, they're all in their parents' basement. They're all in their parents' basement. Oh gosh, these rotten muffins. Just throw the batch away. Just throw the damn batch away. You know, she's crying about all of this stuff like she could not afford to live in her home at home. And I'm like, miss, you work at Walmart. Okay? You work at Walmart. I don't know who you think you're trying to pull the wool over someone's eyes. You are 20 years old, miss, working full-time at Walmart. Make that make sense. Okay? You're at the prime of your life, prime age of your life. You can go out, learn a trade, and make more money than that very quickly. You don't want to. Why? Because you're lazy. I work 40 hours a week. You're lazy. Okay? I'm not saying that the world is not hard. I'm not saying that times are not hard. I'm not saying that, you know, this is not a difficult economy in Western society, maybe even global society. What I am saying, and I want to make it very, very clear, is that you have the internet. You have the ability to learn new skills and to do something different. But you want handouts. and you're acting like everyone got handouts. You're going back to the not even 90s anymore. Y'all are going back to the 60s and even the 1920s and talking about how cheap property was back then. Like, bro, 100 years ago, people didn't have to share, didn't have to live with roommates that they didn't know. Like, what the hell is wrong with Gen Z? 100, someone pointed out, 100 years ago, they didn't have Call of Duty either. These people are such mean-spirited little muffins. A bad batch that should never have made it out of the oven. What do you guys think regarding this? Everyone is sick of Gen Z, especially me. But, they're not going to go away just yet. Many won't make it to 30, and I thank God for that. But you could already see they're aging like milk. Really, really bad milk. All right? So, there's that. But for those of them that do stick around, they're going to be a destitute and extremely desperate group of people. And it's going to be really bad for all of us because they're going to be fully into their hippie years at that point. And they're going to be, stealing, squatting, pooping everywhere. It's going to be a nightmare. But we'll continue that in another video. What do you guys think? Everyone is sick of these bad muffins. Let me know your thoughts on them. And we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA Men walking away. And cheers.